We got the mic rolling. Everything.
We're just gonna talk about the breeds we want.
We're saying everything. We're giving all of our deep secrets.
The type of gardening we're doing, all of it.
Wow. Today we're not doing any work on the property, but we have been planning, and we wanted to share our plans with you. So we're going to do a plan video and let you guys know, like, basically everything that we know up to this point about our goals here and what we're going to do with the property. So I guess we'll start with, a lot of you were surprised that we bought a mobile home. We were surprised too.
Yeah, we did not think we would get a mobile home.
We were looking for a good investment property. That's what we always like to get. And we were looking for a house specifically. I mean, mobile home, nothing wrong with it. We're actually loving it.
I love the mobile home.
But our plans is this, that we were going to buy this property because it came with the schoolhouse. And the mobile home is a temporary home for us. So we're thinking 5 years or more. It could be longer because things get drawn out. But we're looking at a basic 5-year plan of living in this mobile home. And if Ashley has her way, it'll be longer because she doesn't want to leave it now. But so that's why we're not really we're working on the mobile home, but we're not putting a lot of money into the mobile home because it's a very temporary arrangement. In fact, the county told us before we even bought the property that if we turned the schoolhouse into a home or even built another home, any option, we would have to remove the mobile home from the property. They will not allow 2 homes on one parcel. There are exceptions, but we would have to apply for that and they would have to approve it.
And who knows if that would be approved.
So as it stands, the mobile home is a temporary home for us, but we're going to make it cozy. You're probably wondering why we're dumping money into the kitchen. And we'll get into that in another video. But basically, we're going to make the mobile home comfortable and safe and
clean
and just a nice home
cozy
to live in. And without putting so much money into it that we're, losing money when we have to get rid of it. So in the meantime, while we're living here, we're going to be fixing up the property. And the property includes the schoolhouse. The schoolhouse I've been hesitant to talk about because there's so many factors and I hate to say something that I can't live up to, whatever we say we're going to do. But the goal is to turn that into our home. We think it will be an awesome house. It has so much potential. It's structurally stable and solid, but it needs work. It needs a lot of work. We can do it. The biggest obstacles are going to be probably the septic, because I don't know if it has any septic right now.
And if it does, we don't know where it is or anything like that.
We're going to be doing some research and trying to figure out the septic system there. It was hooked to water at one point. It had power, it had phone. It was used in the 60s. We know that. So we're assuming there's a septic for it. And we're also considering it, tying it into the septic system that the mobile home is using. But that's all dependent also on the county, the state, what they want to do when we get to that point. The rest of it is pretty easy. It's basic renovation work, and we've done that. So the goal is, over the next, say, 5 years, we're saying, is to slowly fix up that schoolhouse and turn it into an awesome home. In the meantime, while we're living here, we're also focused on paying off debts. So while we're going to be buying some things and spending some money and even using some credit here and there, the main goal is to focus on debt management. We are working on being as debt-free as possible. So that's one of our goals. And why we ended up with a property that does need a little bit of work, because we were able to get it for a fair price. And that helped us save money that we could put toward some bills. I guess immediate goals, you guys know, we're fixing up the barn and the pasture. We want to clear that field, and we're going to be doing a whole layout. We're going to draw it on the paper and show you guys our
fencing plan.
The plan as it stands right now. But we're going to be clearing the field, putting up field fencing, and getting animals. And that's also why we're working on the barn at the same time, because it's going to tie into the livestock. So do you want to talk about the livestock?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have ideas of what kind of livestock we want to get. We know we want chickens, obviously. And we've kind of decided on a breed to get. We think we want to get Bielefelders, which is a good dual-purpose breed. And we're going to try them out and see how that goes. We plan on getting hatching eggs, because we have our incubator that Doug made.
And that'll, like, we're going to do it from eggs straight up, and then we're going to try to breed them through a breeding program to try to have some nice, solid, chickens that we can kind of self-sustain here and have meat and eggs, which is why we want a dual purpose.
And if we find that, like, they're not good enough for meat or whatever, then we'll figure out what breeds we want. But that's pretty much what we're leaning towards right now. And we also want to get sheep. We want to get hair sheep, specifically Dorper sheep.
We're looking at Dorper. We consider Katahdins. They're really popular among homesteaders right now. But the Dorper kind of stand out to us a little more.
We want the ones that have the white body with the dark brown or black head.
Yeah. In the past, we've had a couple of goats, just pets really. And we always wanted goats, and we always wanted meat goats, and we had these dreams of having a goat farm. But somewhat recently, we kind of changed course, and we realized that sheep might be a better fit for us, and we're going to try it and see how that works out.
One reason being that goats are more susceptible to parasites.
Yeah.
And we don't want to deal with that. Sheep are more hardy.
Yeah. In the Dorper sheep, we've read that they're really adaptable to wet, even really wet climates and dry climates.
And cold and hot.
I think that's going to be really important here because our field does get really wet, and we don't want animals that are going to be having trouble in that kind of wet conditions.
Yep.
Also, you want
a donkey. I want a donkey just because I do. I've always wanted a donkey. And I don't want a miniature one. I want one that's like a larger sized one.
Not the mammoth giant things.
No, like a large standard sized donkey. Probably to ride and also to protect the herd.
Ashley had a horse not too long ago. We had to get rid of it for a number of reasons. But she's always loved horses, but they just aren't a good fit for us right now. And she loves donkeys too, so that's kind of the compromise, and we'll see how that goes. And it's also going to be a good guardian, right?
Yeah, they're good protectors against like people's dogs that get loose, or coyotes, or foxes. And
gardening. We want to do lots of gardening in the future. Probably not this year because we have a lot going on, and the style of gardening that we like and want to do involves patience, I guess you could say, because we're going to be doing a no-dig gardening. Basically, we don't want to till, we don't believe in tilling, but it requires a lot of compost. And if you don't know what no-dig gardening is, there's a lot of YouTube videos. One of our favorite people is Charles Dowding. He has a YouTube channel that does all no-dig gardening. And basically, you just compost your ground, a nice heavy compost, and you compost it every year. And that keeps the weeds down, and you plant right in there. You don't disturb the soil, you don't till it. And that's what we're going to be doing, but we need compost, and we need time to prepare for that, so we're probably going to wait until next year.
But for now, we can figure out where we're putting the garden and at least tarp it to kill the weeds.
Yeah.
And then when we're ready, we can take the tarp off and put the compost on there.
Yeah. So lots of plans. But we're going to take it a little at a time. This year, I think we're going to focus on the barn and the pasture. That'll give us enough to do. We're not going to get into remodeling the schoolhouse until we feel more comfortable with our finances and
figuring out the septic
and also more just after others. We don't want to take on too many jobs at once. That's how you overwhelm yourself and you burn yourself out. So we will get to the schoolhouse, just not right away, because we have to get our priorities in order and just make sure we're doing what's important. And the sooner we get animals, the sooner we get fresh eggs and fresh meat, and that'll help save us money and be better for everybody. So,
and what's cool about where we live is right down the road there's a butcher, so that's awesome.
Yeah, local butcher, he does all that, so we can we're all set up. We just got to get the animals, and we'll be doing a lot better.
And we also want to keep some of the pasture as like the nature zone. Like we're not gonna disturb that at all, really.
Yeah, and we'll show that on the paper when we draw out the fencing map, and we'll show you how we plan on doing it. So I think that's it. That pretty much wraps up the main plan, so you guys know what we're doing. We're going to live here. We're going to fix up the property and make it a good investment. We don't plan on selling, but we like to keep that in mind, that if we want to move, if this isn't our forever home, that we have money, in the property. So we're going to keep fixing, maintaining, and building up, and just doing the best we can a little at a time while living the life that we want with animals and gardening and all that kind of cool stuff. So now we'll get to the maps and we'll show it.
Okay.
This is not to scale. This is just a rough kind of picture that we're doing, but we're going to show you the property. So this is our road in front of our house, and the driveway comes in, and here is our little garage. This is the mobile home, and again, not to scale, you just gotta imagine. And here's the schoolhouse right next to it. Behind it is the barn, the metal barn. So we have a 1 acre property right here, and this is 2 acres back here, so it's 3 acres altogether.
This is the area that's all grown in that we're clearing.
We've been clearing this area right here, kind of working this way. So our plan is to obviously turn this barn into a livestock barn and chicken. There's actually a little fence right here on this side of the barn, and that'll be our temporary place for the chickens to go.
That's chain link fence.
Yeah. So back here, we're thinking, and this is just an idea, but we're thinking about fencing this section. We're going to have a fence going around the whole property from here all the way over to here. We're not going to fence this spot because it's a really wet spot, and you'll see what we're going to be doing with that area later.
And there's really already a fence here. It's like an old one, but it's fine.
Yeah. So we're thinking about fencing here and leaving this part of the field open. We'll have a fence here too, but we're going to fence this and leave this open. This will all just be open to our yard. And this is going to be where we're going to plant some fruit trees and blueberry bushes, whatever we want. This is going to be our orchard area, so we're going to keep that open. And if in the future we feel like we need more room for animals, we could fence it off and use that area too. We're going to divide this maybe back here somewhere, right here.
Sure.
And this will be the main livestock area. Over here, we're going to leave this just natural. We're going to grow trees. We're going to grow berries. Just nature area, yeah. Because that's the wettest part of the field. And it does dry out. We're sure it dries out during the summer. But there's no point in, we want some room to grow trees and have some woods and just...
And I want to plant, like, cool flowers for butterflies, like milkweeds and black-eyed Susans and daisies, and just make that area really cool.
So to get to the nature area, we're just going to leave this open. Remember, this isn't a fence line right now. It's just a property line. So you'll be able to just walk in. We have to block it from the animals. So we're going to have a fence pretty close to the property line, but we're going to give ourselves walking room. And it'll go all the way to the barn. And it'll attach at the barn somewhere for the animals, and this one attaches too. So that's how the animals will come in and out. And then in here, we're breaking this up into at least 3 sections. So something like this. And like this, right? We gotta make a path. Right, this one goes down.
Yep.
This one, like this. This is essentially it. So we'll have 3 pastures. We'll do rotational grazing. And we're going to have a fence. We'll use a different color for a fence. So, I mean a gate, I'm sorry. So there'll be a gate here that swings that way. And there'll be a gate here and here. But there, I mean, it'll be opening. It's one gate. We'll show you. So basically, when the animals come in, if this gate is open, they cannot continue down here.
So they can only go in this one.
This will be their pasture.
If we want them to go in here,
when we close this gate and now the path is open, they can't get in here. They have to continue on, and then this gate will swing either way and either close this pasture or close this pasture. So it'll be one or the other will be open. It'll be one gate.
So if this is closed here, then this is open, and they can go in here.
And then when we reverse it, if we swing the gate this way, this one will be closed, this one will be open.
And then they can only go in there.
Yeah. So we're going to use that system. That's our idea right now. It could change if we have better ideas. This requires a lot of fence posts and extra fencing, but we really want rotational grazing fields. That is pretty much it on that. You can kind of see what our brain is doing. So right now we're clearing here and here. We're going to continue to work our way back so we can set up one at a time. We might not get to this even this year, depending on how fast we move. But if we can start putting fencing in, we can start developing pastures for the animals.
We'll probably start with this fence right here.
Yeah.
Nice perimeter fence there. Right here is already fenced with privacy fence, so that's cool.
And we will be putting up a fence here between our neighbors, a privacy fence of our own here. So privacy fence, lots of fencing. And we're hoping to get fencing done this year. We're going to have to see if we can afford it and if we can have the time to do it, but that's our goal. Fencing and this fence right here. So that's the plan. Orchard, which orchard might not be apples. We were going to do apple trees, but we have a fungal disease called apple cedar rust. Is it cedar apple or apple cedar?
Cedar apple.
Cedar apple rust. On our cedar trees back here, and there's cedar trees over here. There's cedar trees everywhere. If we're going to grow plants that are going to be diseased, that's a waste of our time. We might stick with berries, blueberries, whatever, we decide to do.
But there are apple varieties that are better for that.
Yeah. Maybe even other fruit trees.
Yeah.
We'll
Pears or whatever.
So, orchard. 3 rotational grazing fields, nature area so we can have fun and look at birds.
And butterflies and cool flowers.
Chickens up here. And
garden area.
Garden, we're not sure. We have 2 areas picked out. Right behind the schoolhouse would be awesome. There's a nice flat spot on the top of the hill. It doesn't get soggy. And the other spot is back here. There's a huge area that hasn't been overly wet, and it would be a perfect spot for a garden. And it's big. We have a lot of room for expansion. And also, this would be a good spot for compost bins back here, and that would be close to the garden. It'd be close to the animals, close to the chickens. This may be our garden spot. I just have to see what works because there is a septic tank back here behind the trailer, and I don't want to plant a garden over the leach field.
We have to figure out where the leach field is.
You can do it. We just choose not to do it if we can avoid it. We're going to keep this open so that we can drive back if we need to get a vehicle in.
Or to get into this barn.
Yeah. And the front yard is actually pretty big, and we may use that also. There's a lot of space up here, but it gets really wet in this area, so we can't use that. But we'll see what we can squeeze up there. We actually ended up, even though we have a smaller property than we wanted, we ended up having a pretty good property that we think we can get a lot of use out of. So I hope that gives you an idea of our plans. We're still developing plans like every day. We were out in the barn today planning. We were going to share that today, but I think we're going to wait because we're still in the developing stages and we don't want to make this video too long explaining every detail of the barn. So this is just our homestead goals basically, and this is, like we said, a 5-year plan to get everything established. It's not going to be overnight. We know it takes time, and we're just going to be patient and do what we can as we can.
Yeah. Gotta keep clearing that field.
So the number one priority for us is maintaining and taking care of what needs to be done now so that we don't lose value. That means reinforcing the barn, fixing gutters, fixing what needs to be done in the house, just making the property safe and stable. And then Our next goal is debt. We're going to focus on hitting our debt as hard as we can. And that's going to be hard because there's so many things we want to do. But we're going to try our best to keep hitting that debt. And then just work toward getting animals. And there's going to be other things in there. I might have a day where I just feel the urge to work on the schoolhouse. That just happens. But the goals right now is debt and animals. We like to set goals and we like to have plans because we're very goal oriented, and we have been really good at accomplishing what we set our minds to. We try not to let anything get in the way, and we just push forward and we do it. But you can't move forward if you don't know where you're going. You know what I mean? So we like to have these plans in our head so we know what our next step is. So if you guys are looking to start a homestead or anything in life, make a plan, have a goal, and work toward it. And if you can see the end, if you can picture that vision, then you have something to keep pushing for. And that's what keeps us going. Grumpy's outside. That's what keeps us going. It keeps us working, and just gets us pumped up because we have so many things so many dreams that we want to accomplish, and every day goes by so quick. So you just got to do what you can. So I hope you liked that video. I know we're not doing anything exciting, but we have been wanting to share our plans with you. So
share what livestock we want.
So that's all we have for today. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.
Bye.